What's up, guys? My name is Jerry, and today we're going to be ranking the top 10 best teams in a super stacked Eastern Conference, and we're going to jump right into the video. Now, the first thing we're going to do is get into the criteria of the list, and my criteria is going to be very simple. I think there should be two main factors. Number one is talent. The more talent you have on your team, of course, the higher you're going to be on the list. And then number two, which I think is super important when making this list, is the health and availability of the players on these teams. And the Eastern Conference over the last 3 years have gotten so much better. So this list was very tough for me to make, and I already know it's going to be some controversy. So with that being said, let's get into number 10 on our list. And I went with the Detroit Pistons. Now, I must be honest, I had to go back and forth between this number 10 spot between the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons, and two things made me ultimately go with the Detroit Pistons. Number one is Cade Cunningham. I feel like he is the best player from both teams, and going into next season, I would take him over Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, and RJ Barrett. I feel like Cade is poised to have a better season than all of those guys. And if you watch Cade Cunningham down the second half of last year, you will understand why I feel like that. And reason number two, I feel like the Detroit Pistons, I feel like they have a deeper basketball team. I feel like they're gonna have a better bench unit next season, and they have a bunch of valuable role players. So that's why I have the Detroit Pistons at number 10, and I wouldn't be shocked if they moved up higher on that list, because this team is filled with so much talent, and right now everything is going to be based off development for them. The quicker they develop, the quicker they're going to win some ball games. So I have the Pistons at number 10. Now we're going to move to the number 9 spot on their list, and I'll be honest, this is where it got a little tough for me, because I feel like from the 9th seed to the 6th seed, it could really go in any direction in the Eastern Conference. That's how good these teams are. And for the number 9 spot right now, I have the Chicago Bulls, and I actually think the Chicago Bulls, they have a great roster. They have a good scoring tandem with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, but me personally, I have a few concerns about this team. Number one is the health, and it's the health of one player, Lonzo Ball. And watching the Bulls last season, he played such an intricate role for these guys on both sides of the ball, and we've seen how they struggled when he went out of the lineup. I think the Bulls, if they get Lonzo for 60 plus or 70 plus games, they're a completely different ball club, and they could definitely be higher on my list. And the second concern is their interior defense. I love Nikola Vucevic on the offensive side of the ball, and he's a very solid rebounder, but he's not low post defense and rim protection, that's not his forte. So those are my two concerns for the Chicago Bulls, and that's why I have them at number 9. And coming in at number 8 on our list, I have the Toronto Raptors, and I firmly believe that they're one of the deepest teams in the Eastern Conference, but I feel like right now they're missing something. They're missing that number 1 scoring option on a championship team, and that's the only critique I have for the Toronto Raptors right now. And I feel like they do have a player on this team who can be that in the future, and that's Scotty Barnes. And right now he's still very young in his NBA career. He's coming off a terrific rookie season that earned him the Rookie of the Year award, and I love Scotty Barnes. He has a true impact on the game of basketball. There's so many things he can do offensively and defensively, and he's already one of the most versatile players in the NBA today. And then the rest of this Toronto Raptors roster, they have so many quality ball players. They have all-star caliber players like Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam. They have quality role players like OG Anunoby and Gary Trent Jr. And defensively, the Toronto Raptors are very scary. They have a lineup that they can go to when it's nothing but 6'7" or taller guys out on the court, and all 5 of those guys are very athletic and very mobile, and they make it very tough on the opposing team's offense. So I like the Toronto Raptors, and I could definitely see them being higher than the 8th seed next season. And now we're going to move to number 7 on our list. And before we go any further in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about today's sponsor, a digital security company called Aura. And me personally, I've had the app for 2 days now, and it's already been super beneficial to me. As soon as I created my account and logged in, Aura notified me about 6 of my passwords being leaked to the dark web. And what I love about this app is that it was very easy for me to identify what those 6 passwords were, and I was able to change them immediately. And the cool thing about Aura is that they don't just monitor leaked passwords, but they also keep an eye on your email, your social security number, and your credit card. They make sure none of these things are surfacing on the dark web, and if they do find anything, they send a notification to your phone or your email so you can get things taken care of as soon as possible. And what I love about this app is that it's very convenient, but it's also super cool and easy to use. And thanks to my partnership with Aura, you and your family can get a free 14-day trial to try the app for yourself and make sure that any of your information is not out on the dark web. All you have to do is go to aura.com/champion, and that link will also be in the description and in the comments section. Thank you guys for listening, and now we can get back to the video. Coming in at number 7 on our list, I have the Atlanta Hawks, and I feel like they've had a fantastic offseason, and I love what they were able to do, and I feel like they've had 2 highlights so far this offseason. Number 1 was being able to get DeJounte Murray from the San Antonio Spurs. I feel like that was a big-time pickup because he's going to bring so many things to the table that the Atlanta Hawks need, and then also they were able to keep John Collins. So I feel like when you're able to keep most of your nucleus intact and then you bring in an all-star caliber player like DeJounte Murray, that is big time. And we look at their potential starting 5, I actually like it a lot. They have Trae Young at the 1, DeJounte Murray at the 2, DeAndre Hunter at the 3, John Collins at the 4, and Clint Capella at the 5. All of these guys are sound on the defensive side of the ball except for Trae Young, and I think that's very important for the Atlanta Hawks, and I think it's going to be a lot easier to hide Trae on the defensive side of the ball. So I love what the Atlanta Hawks were able to do this offseason. Coming in at number 6 on our list, we have the Miami Heat. Now, the Miami Heat are definitely one of the teams that could move up on the list, but for right now, I feel like losing PJ Tucker is going to hurt them later down the road. And I know PJ Tucker, he's 38 years of age, but I still feel like he brings so much to the game of basketball as far as impact, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And you can make an argument that he was the Miami Heat's best defender last season. If you watch those guys in the playoffs last year, he played a lot of great defense on the opposing team's best player. So I feel like losing PJ Tucker, it may hurt the Miami Heat. And then also I feel like they just stood by in the offseason. They had guys like Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Donovan Mitchell. Those guys came available, and I'm pretty sure the Miami Heat, I know they had interest in Donovan Mitchell and Kevin Durant, but they couldn't put together a package to get those guys. So I feel like they stood idle a little bit in the offseason, and then they let one of their best defenders go away and PJ Tucker. And I think the Miami Heat, they could move up on this list if Tyler Hero take that next step. I think he's capable of doing it. And also Bam Adebayo. I think Bam, he's a very good NBA player right now, but I think he has the potential to be a great one. He just has to unlock that himself. So for right now, I have the Miami Heat at number 6 in the Eastern Conference. Coming in at number 5 on our list, and I know I'm going to receive some heat for this one, but I have the Brooklyn Nets. And it's not because of a talent standpoint. If our criteria was just strictly talent, then of course the Brooklyn Nets would be higher up on this list. They have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, and then they also have some of the best shooters in the NBA, Patty Mills, Seth Curry, Joe Harris. So the talent is definitely there for the Brooklyn Nets, but my biggest concern is health and availability. Kevin Durant, it seems nowadays that he's injury prone since he's been a part of the Brooklyn Nets. He's only played 90 games, including the playoffs, and he's been a part of this team for 3 years. So that's about 35% of his games played. And then we seen Kyrie over the last couple of years. 2021, he took that leave of absence without letting the team know. And then 2022, the vaccine mandate kept him out for playing. But the biggest question mark of them all is Ben Simmons, and he's going to be the X factor for the Brooklyn Nets next season. And I feel like he's going to make or break their season. So that's how I feel about the Brooklyn Nets. And if everything goes well for them, they will definitely move up on my list. But right now, I feel like it's a lot of question marks around that team. So now we're going to get to number 4. Coming in at number 4 on our list, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I feel like they made one of the best moves this offseason by trading for Donovan Mitchell. And what I love about this trade is that they didn't have to give up any of their core players. They still have Isaac Okoro, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and Darius Garland. So you take that mix right there and add a guy like Donovan Mitchell, that is big time. And I feel like an area that Cleveland struggled with last year was additional perimeter scoring. Once Rubio went down with his ACL injury and he was traded away, I feel like no one outside of Darius Garland could consistently create for themselves and for their teammates on the perimeter. So I feel like adding Donovan Mitchell, that's going to be big time for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And for right now, I have these guys at number 4, and I definitely think they can contend for an NBA championship. Alright guys, now we're moving on to the top 3, and coming in at number 3, I have the Philadelphia 76ers. And just like the Cleveland Cavaliers, I feel like the 76ers have had a great offseason. Now their offseason was different than the Cleveland Cavaliers. They didn't go out and bring in a superstar, but they went out and they brought in more quality players to build around the stars that they already have. They brought in PJ Tucker, who I think is a great addition to this team. And I feel like before this move, the Philadelphia 76ers, they didn't really have a glue guy on their team. They didn't have a workhorse, a guy that's going to die for loose balls. They're going to bring that fire every night. So I love PJ Tucker in that aspect. And then they also brought in the Anthony Melton from the Memphis Grizzlies. That's another great pickup. He gives you a little bit of everything. He's great on the offensive side of the ball when it comes to catching, shooting, and then he's a dog on defense. And then they still have the process Joel Embiid. James Harden has been working hard the entire offseason, and Tyrese Maxey is a developing young star in this league. And they still have Matisse Thybulle, Tobias Harris. The Philadelphia 76ers, their roster is looking great right now, and that's why I have them at number 3. Now, coming in at number 2, I had a tough time with this one, going back and forth between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. So at number 2, I decided to go with the Milwaukee Bucks. Now the Bucks, they have a great trio of Giannis Antetokounmpo, Drew Holiday, and Chris Middleton. And right now, the way that I'm looking at things, Giannis is definitely the best player in the NBA. And what's scary about this man is that he seems to improve each and every year, especially on the offensive side of the ball. He's added a 3-point shot to his bag, and I would say that he's added that. He can knock down an open tray ball. He's gotten so much better in the post. He can knock down the fade over his shoulder. So Giannis, he's unstoppable in the paint, and his perimeter game keeps getting better and better. Drew Holiday, one of the best on-ball defenders in the league, and he's so underrated on the offensive side of the ball. And Chris Middleton is literally a microwave. When he's hot, he looks like one of the best players in the NBA. And the Bucks still have some high quality role players, Brook Lopez. He can protect the rim at a high level still and still knock down 3-point shots. And they also still have guys like Bobby Portis. So I love this Milwaukee Bucks roster. But at number 1, I went with the Boston Celtics. Now, in my humble opinion, the biggest reason that I went with the Boston Celtics is that I feel like that they have the best starting 5 in basketball. And when you look at Marcus Smart at the 1, Jaylen Brown at the 2, Jason Tatum at the 3, Al Horford at the 4, and Robert Williams at the 5. This lineup right here is so good, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I feel like when you have these guys, when you matched up against these guys, there's really nobody you try to attack on the defensive side of the ball. They played great one-on-one defense, and they also played great defense as a team. And offensively, they have 2 guys that they can give the ball to get their own bucket, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But that's not the only reason I have them at number 1. I feel like the Boston Celtics, they had a great offseason, and they made a big-time trade and went out and got a player that puts up 20 points per game, 5+ assists, and 5+ rebounds, and that's Malcolm Brogdon. And the great thing about this trade is that they didn't give up any core players to bring in this caliber of a player in Malcolm Brogdon. So I feel like that trade is big time, and Malcolm Brogdon is going to help the Celtics and a lot of things that they lack in. He's going to be the floor general. He's going to be able to slow the game down, speed it up, and help players get to their right spot. So I feel like the Boston Celtics, they're the defending conference champs. I still have them at number 1 in the Eastern Conference, and that's how my list is looking, man. I have the Celtics at number 1, the Bucks at 2, and the Sixers at 3. If you guys think I went wrong anywhere, please let me know down in the comment section. And if you made it all the way to number 1, I really appreciate you for watching this video, man. But that's going to be it. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment down below if you agree or disagree, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man, and that's curtains.